Hey, my name is Martin Benson, and I work as a branding and marketing consultant for actors. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. This way you get my updates every single week with the latest tips and tricks. In my video last week, we talked about the importance of having extra income or money as an actor. Basically, it's important to have something that you can fall back on or not feel needy when you go into auditions so that you come across more genuinely and you're more confident. If you have extra income, you can also easily afford your marketing materials and all of that. So last week I kind of outlined 5 different ways that you could start earning money on the side to support your acting career. So in my video last week, we discussed the importance of earning money as an actor. We talked about why it's so important to have this extra either income source or, like, as I say, like baskets of income where, your eggs are split up amongst different baskets. You don't want all of your money coming from one single job. You either want to have a significant amount of savings that you can fall back on, or you want to have a side hustle or something that brings in some extra income for yourself. Just in case one of those baskets disappears, like you lose your job, you don't have to get all freaked out because you know that you're somewhat secure. I would like to now go into the story of how I started my own business. So how did I go from absolute zero in the industry to where I am today, which is over 120 paying clients per month and only working a few hours per week, having multiple locations and all of that, okay? So I want to outline the exact step-by-step process that I used because you can actually take this process and apply it to your own freelancing career. No matter how big you want to grow, even if you don't want to go up to 120 clients per month, because that's pretty much gonna need full-time attention unless you want to start paying staff and figure out payroll and all that stuff. If you're looking to do this yourself, you might only need 3 or 4 clients per month, each paying you a couple $100. Step 1, I figured out what I liked doing. I was lucky. I generally had a passion for taking video cameras and photo cameras and taking pictures and filming things and making little videos with my friends. So basically anything that you have that you already like doing, whether that's cooking or gardening or landscaping or taking pictures like I did, designing websites, anything that you enjoy, for the most part, as long as it's something that other people might need, you can make money at it. And that leads us into step 2. So I looked up ways that I could make money with that skill. So I just started Googling and I typed in ideas and all these things came up, like wedding photographer or videographer. I really got interested in the idea of shooting weddings. And this was back when I was a freshman or sophomore in high school. Step 3, I started talking about it. I actually talked to my friends about my interest in shooting weddings. And luckily I hung out with friends frequently. I didn't have a large group of friends, but I saw people, got together with them and just talked about it, and it was my interest. And guess what happened? Step 4. Eventually one of my friends told me that his sister was getting married, and they're like, we're thinking about doing a video, but we're not sure what we want to spend on it. I know that you've been saying that you want to shoot weddings. Would you be interested in shooting my sister's wedding? It's just because I was putting myself out there and someone wound up asking me. It did take some time, but it happens if you talk about it. Step 5, yes, I was nervous. He asked me, could I shoot a wedding? I didn't want to mess it up. I was worried that I might screw it up and miss the kiss or something. But you know what? I was like, whatever. I'm charging a super cheap rate and they know that I'm new at this, so the risk is kind of on them. So I said yes. And I shot it for them. I charged a super cheap rate. I charged $400 and I shot it for them, and I made sure to do the best possible job that I could. Step 6, after I did a great job and they were super happy with it and they knew that I charged a super cheap rate, guess what happened? I started getting phone calls from their friends saying, hey, you shot so-and-so's wedding. I was wondering, what would you charge to shoot my upcoming family event? And within a couple of months, I was shooting all these events. Of course, I was charging nothing, just a couple $100 for each one, but people were referring me. Step 7, eventually I moved to New York City to to go to college. I was very lucky. I applied to only a few places, got rejected from a number of them, but I got accepted at NYU for their film program, which was like, oh my gosh, I was so excited about that. I moved to New York, and the first year or two, I did nothing with my business. I did not shoot anything. I was purely focused on school and learning the new city and all of that. About halfway through my sophomore year, I decided to start focusing again on my business. And I started shooting some events and took out the old camera, and a couple of friends of mine from the film program who were actors asked if I could do their headshot for them. And at the time, I didn't even know what a headshot was. I had no clue. But you know what? Just like with the wedding video, because I had the camera there and I talked about what I was doing, somebody wound up asking me and I said, sure. And I shot a couple people for free, and it wound up leading into more business. Step 8. I made sure to do those headshots, those first few that I did for free, fantastically. And I really went above and beyond for people. And within just a couple more months, I was still shooting some weddings, but now I was also starting to shoot some headshots. I was doing like 2 or 3 jobs a month and, maybe charging like $75. Step 9, I actually went out and started posting up flyers everywhere. I was going to acting schools. I was posting things up at NYU, $50 headshots or something. It was crazy. I was posting them up everywhere. I had those little things that you can pull off, with your contact info. You pull off one of the little tabs. And I was getting calls. I mean, it wasn't very much. Most of my business was coming through referrals, but I was getting calls. Step 10, I decided to start focusing on search engine optimization. I had a goal that I wanted to get my website to show up on Google for the words cheap headshots NYC. Why cheap? Because no one was competing for it. There was very low competition. Most people seemed to be competing for the words headshots NYC. And I was like, you know what? If I do cheap, it might be a little bit easier to get. And, people type cheap headshots NYC into Google. So I did that. And I did my research, I bought books, I learned everything I could about how to do search engine optimization. And guess what? Within about 6 months of consistent work on that and writing articles almost every day, like these little articles, I would write them on my phone while I was on the subway going to NYU and stuff. But after I did that for about 6 months, my website started showing up on Google for the words cheap headshots NYC. Step 11. The number of bookings that I had at that point, once I started showing up, went from 2 to 3 per month to 2 to 3 per week. That's a 4 times increase, and that was really good. Now, step 12, I started asking people for reviews. I knew that if I could, not many other photographers had reviews out there. And I looked, and the most that someone else had was like 11 reviews on Google. And I'm like, if I'm shooting 2 or 3 people per week and I get reviews from almost all of them, within a couple months, I could be the top rated photography studio in New York for headshots. So I did that. I made it consistent, and every single client that I worked with, I asked for a review, and I'd say about 50% of them actually wrote reviews for me. Step 13. As I was asking for these reviews, I decided that I wanted to start targeting the words headshots NYC, because my website was already starting to show up for cheap headshots NYC. But if I could do headshots NYC, I could get a lot more traffic. But I started working on it, and I was writing more of those articles. And again, following the advice that I learned in the books that I had bought. And yes, nothing happened for another 10 or 11 months. I was still ranking, but I still followed through, and I did not give up because I knew that it takes a long time to do SEO. But guess what happened? Step 14, my website started showing up for the words headshots NYC. Now my site was generating anywhere from 5 to 12 shoots per week. And that was huge. That's 20 to 50 almost shoots every month that I was doing headshots. This is people who are finding me from the words cheap headshots NYC and headshots NYC. Plus, I was starting to get more and more reviews. So at this point, I was ranked the #1 studio, and business was going well. I was still like towards the bottom of the page on Google, but I was on the first page for the words Headshots NYC. Step 15, I started going way deeper on marketing. I invested money into marketing courses, and I really started learning how to do something called education-based marketing and consultative selling and all kinds of things like that. And I mean, that combined with the additional reviews and my website continuing to go up on Google brought me to where I was 4 or 5 years ago. I'm further along now, but that was at the point of 120 shoots a month, or 30 shoots per week. Finally, step 16, which brings me to where I am now, is I started actually hiring and training other people. And that was about 5 years ago. So once I brought on photographers and taught them everything that I knew about shooting headshots, once I brought on somebody who could do email scheduling and all of these other things, sure, it cost money, and I had to spend some money with an accountant and a lawyer to learn how to get people on payroll, and I had a whole issue with like workers' compensation and stuff. But basically, I've learned all of these things, and to grow to the point where I am now, which is shooting more than 120 shoots per month, charging higher rates, and not having to work and do them. When you can build a side income or a freelance business for yourself, and it provides you with consistent money, and you systematize things, and you understand not the most advanced strategies, just the basics of marketing and selling and understanding your customer's mind. When you start to really learn these things and you actually apply them to a business, you can easily change your entire life. You can have flexible time. Imagine being able to sleep to whatever time you want, and then getting all of your work done in the first couple of hours of the day, so that the rest of the day you can go to acting classes or attend auditions or whatever your goals are. Imagine being able to take something that you've built that you enjoy, like let's say you really love doing web design, and you can take that and scale it. And maybe you work with lots of clients and you have some other people who work for you, you hire an assistant or something, or maybe you just do it yourself and you charge people $5,000 or $10,000 for a website, and you just work with one person per month. The flexibility that you have when you start a side income that supports your primary income basket is huge. Imagine spending just 10 hours a week working and earning a full-time income. What kind of flexibility and freedom would that allow for you? You know what it will do for you? It will get rid of all the stress that you have around money. And not having that stress is going to make you way less stressed when you go out for auditions. You won't feel the need to really book the job anymore. You'll feel way more relaxed. And just like my story in the other video, the first video about my proposal that went horribly wrong because of how much I needed that job and really wanted that job, and I psyched myself out. Just like that, you won't have that happen anymore in auditions. You'll go in and you'll just feel calm and relaxed, because it will be, well, you know what, if not today, tomorrow, and I can keep on making more opportunities for myself. And building a side income for yourself and having income baskets, multiple income baskets that cover all of your worries and fears about money, will help you audition that much better and will improve your booking rates. Even though it doesn't seem like it on the surface, the truth is that there's something unconscious that happens in people's minds when they can tell that you really don't need the job. You're there because you want the job and you would love to be in the project and you want to do it for your passion, but you're not there because you need it or you're worried about not getting it. And that is a huge difference. If you enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Next Monday, I'm going to be showing you exactly how to find your first paying client. I'll outline that step-by-step process and make it really, really simple for you, okay? Oh, and one other thing. If you're an actor looking to book more work, you might consider checking out my free mini course called The Practical Performer. In it, I outline basically things that actors pay business of acting coaches thousands of dollars for. You'll learn exactly how to create a brand or how to find your brand. You'll also learn the 7 key ways to find paid acting work. And you'll even learn how to create relationships with casting directors out of nothing, people who you've never met before, in a really simple, authentic way that does not feel spammy or salesy at all. So check out the course. All you have to do is visit martinbenson.com/mini-course. And otherwise, I will see you next week in our next video.